Has the story of the millennials been told? Is it finished? Or are we still writing it? I believe that the millennials are only coming into their stride now. The millennials are all coming into their 30s or 40s. They all now have a decade of experience behind them. They all now are at that phase where they are building whatever project it is that is calling to them, that has a sense of purpose, has a sense of meaning. This is when they are tapping into legacy. Tapping in, not saying creating it, not into their 50s and 60s when they have decades of experience and are really kind of setting it up for the next generation to come behind perhaps. But really, this is the phase where we are building what it is that we will be handing off to the next generation. We no longer have that kind of teenage angst of everything, like not having any life experience and therefore being very black and white thinking. You said this, but this is also true, and that paradox doesn't make sense to me. It's like, yes, you need to be disciplined and ordered, but you also need to be creative and free. As a teenager, it's very hard to hold both of those together at the same time. And I tended to dip into one or the other, and was very difficult to have both. This is a strange moment, not just because our generation is coming into this phase, but because the previous generation didn't necessarily have something similar. They built projects, but the previous generation, your boomers and your Generation X, that cohort was very much about breaking the shackles of this oppressive culture that came before them, of all these rules and all of these duties and all of these things. It's like, why do we need this? All this whole postmodern movement, this whole summer of love, this summer of freedom, this like all of this kind of like down with the system sort of thinking has been rising. Fair. And that took a lot of effort and a lot of energy and was essential. I'm not trying to order these generations in any particular order of importance or worth or value or anything like that. I want that clear. What I'm trying to say is that the way it is shaping at the moment is that the previous generation before us did not necessarily emphasize legacy that much. They emphasized acceptance and individualism. You can be whatever you want to be. You set yourself to it and you just focus and go, and you have the freedom. If you have the drive, you have the freedom. And that was necessary. And thank you so much for that. I believe that the millennials are going to come along and are going to start building legacy things. They're going to start looking at what patterns came before them and what patterns they will be leaving after them. At this moment, when we don't have to kind of fight for our existence, we have a decade of experience behind us in the jobs market. We have a certain experience there that is just worth something, that will keep us afloat. Okay, now is the question of, what are we doing here? What exactly are we going to leave behind us for the next generation? And if we ask that question, and it's an if because our story is still being told, I do not know whether we will be the generation for it. But I look after us at the Generation Z, your generation that is coming, that is raised, that has had a bit of smart technology in their hands since they were a child. That is the difference between your millennials and your Generation Z. Just so you know, that is the difference. And it makes a massive difference cognitively and how the brain develops and all of the rest. They will have their own battle. They definitely will have something where they will be navigating how to have a relationship with technology, how to integrate it, how to really have an assistant AI, more than likely, without it overwhelming the person. Either way, that perhaps will be their challenge and their issue. I do believe is the challenge of the millennial generation to sort out what legacy is being left to them. What part of humanity will be integrating with that technology? What part of humanity will be valued, will have this quality where we will sacrifice things for it? I am arguing in all of my videos that this will come around. Somehow, some way, this will all orientate around the virtues. I do believe that they are us connecting to our best selves when we aim towards the true, the good, the beautiful, when we aim towards acceptance, humility, and wisdom. These different values and virtues, I believe, will be the kind of grounding for this debate, for this discussion, as we try to resurrect some form of community, some form of tribe that doesn't descend into what it could. Some form of tribe that holds itself up, and that holds life up, and that holds flourishing and thriving. Something that has ritual, demands ritual, something that demands practices, something that demands ethics, something that brings us all together. A story, a narrative that has us as a species together in our project of discovering ourselves, of being creative, of discovering the universe, of... I don't know what the story will be. It is more than likely something that I haven't come across yet. Or whatever version I have at the moment, it is not the version I have at the moment that will succeed and will unite everyone. But I do believe it will land on the virtues. And I think as we try to instill and recapture and resonate with and remember these old values, virtues, ways of being that had a reason for being, I think relating to the virtues will be really important. So with that, and as always, I leave the invite out to come along to the workshops. Please leave an email or just comment in the DMs below, in the comments below, or you can message me through Instagram or Facebook or any of these social media networks. Message me, I will ask for your email and I will put you onto the list, and we will get you into a Dialogus workshop where we will talk about a virtue. Not only will we talk about it, we will presence it, we will have a felt feeling for it. Imagine what it's like being in front of someone who is exuding acceptance. It's like, whoa, that's it. There's a bodily response. This isn't just a head discussion. It's not a philosophical debate about the definition of a virtue. No, you're really trying to feel it. That is what the Dialogus practices are, and I invite you along to them. So again, contact me. I'd appreciate it. I believe this is the movement that needs to happen, or it's at least part of the movement that needs to happen. So I'd love to have you along. With all of that said, if you are interested, message me. And if not, look at the generation. Look at the generations that and how they're kind of setting themselves up. If you look at the older generation who are 50 plus, 45 to 60, they are somewhat silent at the moment. They were the generation that broke the chains. They were the generation that has given us this world where we're allowed to be so accepting. I cannot really overstate just how they've set the ground, how they've set the arena for what I believe is to come. But I do believe it's up to us, up to the millennial generation, to reconnect in a healthy manner with virtues, with some rituals, some practices, some ways of being that are worth passing on. So that is something to think about for the week. I hope you have a great week and that you're looking forward to it, and that there are practices and moments and experiences that you are looking forward to. With that, I'll say goodbye. See you in the next one, guys.